Welcome everyone to the Sigma Show, episode 53. It's me, Sigma, back for another show. Before I let you know who's joining me today, real quick, we'll go over what our topics will be. And really, there's only one topic that we're going to be discussing today, a very big one that kind of has a lot of smaller topics that branch off from it, but they're all connected, is Microsoft's acquisition or planned acquisition of Activision Blizzard King for 78.7
68.
billion 68 I'm sorry, yeah,
68, yeah.
68.7 billion dollars, just a hair short of 69 billion dollars. Nice. But here today to talk with me about this news is Blue Bones,
What's going on, everybody? It's Blue Bones BLUB0 NES. How you feeling?
as well as Rachel Kaiser.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Kaiser, news writer for GamesBeat, and y'all knew I was going to be here this week. Let's be honest.
I didn't even have
Jeff
to look at the
was
list. I knew
supposed to
she was gonna
be
show up.
right, exactly. Like you all can you can feel Rachel in the air.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
You heard
Jeff was supposed to
Activision
be on the show
Blizzard, you're
with
like,
us.
Yeah.
Jeff was supposed to be here on the show with us. I don't know what happened. Some sorts of technical issues. He was trying to load in, was taking a little too long, and I didn't get any info. So we're going to do it as a three-man squad. We can probably put Jeff back in if he awakens from his slumber. Oh, actually, yeah, he just
We
messaged
love
me
you,
now
Jeff.
saying that his PC restarted.
Oh, snaps.
So you know what? Let's do a tiny bit of troubleshooting at the start here.
Okay.
Okay.
But in the meantime, before we get into the hard, heavy-hitting news, Blue, why don't you let folks know what you've been playing / watching this week? Rachel, you can go
Yeah,
after that,
man.
and we'll see if we can get Jeff back in here.
okay.
I have continued Yakuza Like a Dragon, and I have not been disappointed yet. I'm super happy about that. I did just start, because I think it just dropped, Rainbow Six Extraction, and I think that's a ton of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this right now. I'm not the one to play too many realistic shooters, so Six Siege and some of the other Call of Duties and stuff like that, they're not my jam. But this is just fantasy enough for me to kind of remove myself. And I do like the heavy team RPG aspect of it, the XCOM like health management, I should say.
Right, like
yeah,
dudes get left behind, and if you finish a
you have
mission
to
and
go.
they have half health, they stay with half health until they have to heal up for a while. Yeah,
It feels good. Like I actually do feel like I'm managing this team. And it puts me more into every scenario, because I do see how this could be repetitive if the story or the reason that we're doing it wasn't exciting. But I do like what I'm seeing so far, and I'm excited to unlock more operators and different perks and tweak them up and stuff like that. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be dope. As far as watching, I finished Succession. And son, let me tell you, that last episode was gold. It was
that
beautiful.
show is thrilling in like the worst way.
100%. Because let me tell you something. The first, and this is no spoilers really, but the first season, it's like you want one character to win. Yeah, that's how I felt. I wanted one character. I'm like, okay,
Right.
he's kind of coming through, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, he let me down. Second season, I realized, don't fall in love with nobody. Just watch them. Don't fall in love. But then I started getting a little bit more, oh yeah, hold on. He's coming back around. Okay, no, we can do it this time. No. Got my heart broken again. He is a terrible person. Stop trying to latch on to him.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You should not look up to or admire any
None
of
of
those
them.
characters. They're all
Not
really,
one.
really terrible people. They don't deserve what it is they're going for.
Most of them are
it's the
equally
most fun
bad.
watching them fail.
Yes. And so then the last season, that last episode, again, you kind of get that build up, but it's just you go in knowing that no, it can't be. It can't happen. It can't. And let me tell you, what happened is still not what you thought was going to happen. And it's excellent writing. I love the evolution of every single character from episode to episode, season to season. And really like discovering this family, the Roy family's past, and how they were raised and why they're so eccentric and messed up. So yeah, Succession, solid. I'm excited for hopefully another season. I know Adam McKay and Will Ferrell were having some problems. I think they've officially I read a couple articles about that, or I saw a couple articles. I didn't get to get into the details yet, but yeah. So hopefully there's a fourth season. I need to confirm that, but I did got into like 10 minutes of Foundation. So I'm gonna have to restart that. It was like super late at night, and I was excited to start it, and then.
Foundation does start a little on the slow side, I'll say.
Sandman was next to me, man.
There's a lot of concepts that they're throwing at you in the beginning, but like once they kind of get that out of the way, but they do at the very least they put some stuff to keep you going, even though there's a lot of like slow stuff at the start, I think. But like, man,
incidentally, that's a perfect adaptation of the books. In that
way. There you go.
Awesome.
They keep you true.
Dope. Yeah. On top of that, I've been catching up Ranking of Kings. I'm not gonna stop talking about it because it's stupid solid. I just get more into it every episode. And
Ash
I think that's
co-signing you.
Yeah, Ash, you already know what time it is. Everyone needs to do that. Yeah, but I think that's just about it for me. Oh, I totally forgot. Yo, I am loving this series. There's some series like you just want to like, and you're like, and then you watch it and you're like, okay, it's not as good, but because I like this, I'm gonna push it a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Abbott Elementary. I thought it was gonna be like that. I actually freaking love this show.
That show was great.
Yeah,
it is amazing. I just watched the latest episode, was it the tech episode where they get new tech?
Yeah, where they all had the apps and
son. Oh my gosh, so many twists and turns and really funny situations and really good teachable moments. I love everything that they're doing in Abbott Elementary, and I cannot wait to see this show continue to flourish. Every little piece of imagery is just something that I smile at, whether it's an ugly side of a character or a funny side of a character. It's always entertaining. So Abbott Elementary, do yourself a favor, is wonderful.
Yeah, that show is it's at the very beginning and it's already this good. Like I guarantee you that's going to be another ABC show with like 12 13 15
I hope
seasons.
So I want that.
Like
I really want quality. That for this show. Yeah,
principal get like a donation and then go crazy. I ain't want to spoil you nothing. I just called myself, but it's like it does touch on like real school issues, which is
yes, yeah. The latest episode, and not without going too far into it, goes into a lot of Chicago slang that I've heard from my friends in Chicago and on the East Coast, and it's so funny the way that they keep saying John and Bo and.
You mean Philly slang though?
What did I say?
You said Chicago.
Oh, I meant to say Philly. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Definitely Philly. My bad. Yeah, Philly slang. Yeah, so I think that was really funny, especially because I've heard it from a lot of my friends. I've heard it from some of my family that do live in Philly, and to see it represented there was, it was dope. Yeah, so definitely check that out. That's where I'm at. That's what I got.
Nice. Jeff has finally made it into the call. Welcome.
Welcome, Jeff.
Miss
you, baby.
Hi, Grace. Hi, Blue Regard.
What's up?
Some issues. Yeah, my computer tried to restart when I was trying to log in, and then the camera wouldn't work, so I had to unplug it and plug it back in. I think OBS was still using it in the background or something.
It's okay, Jefferson. We got you.
We've all had mornings like that.
Yeah. As far as
some of us are still having them.
Watching, I just finished The Blood of Dragon, the Dota anime series on Netflix.
Oh, is that good?
Second season came out. It was really good. Like, I had to stop myself from watching it because it was just like it just rolled right into the next thing. Like, it wasn't like this is a good time to take a break. No, it was like, oh, this happened. I need to see what's happening now. Like, it just rolled right. It does such a good job. The anime is really, really, really good.
And
it's dark,
and it is like anime style, or is it just animated?
No, it's anime style.
Okay.
Animated. Yeah, more like Castlevania.
Right.
Ooh,
Okay.
I
Okay.
like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, more like Castlevania. That dark, but not too dark. Some blood,
Almost
but not
gothic.
but not too much blood. It's
I mean,
and it's a
Castlevania is
lot of
actually pretty graphic. Now I'm thinking
it
about it.
is, but like it's not like over the top graphic just for the sake of some parts. Like,
It's
No,
over the
it
hill
kind
at
of
least.
is. Yeah. Like,
it's
did
to
like a
a left.
demon dog run off with like a baby in Castlevania? Like that.
on
That
the
show
on
kind of
the
goes
go-
there.
on
They
the
did start off
barometer, it's
by
got like a
burning.
B plus. You know what I'm saying? Or not like
Yeah.
a B, like a B, like a B.
That's true. It did start off burning a lady to a cross, so
It was showing a lot.
with no proof.
Yeah, that'll do
of
it.
her. But it was really really good. Animation was great, really great animation. Story was really good. It kind of makes you. It almost made me want to go and play Dota. Like that's how good the anime was. Like I was like, let me download Dota. Let's go in there. They're
That's
probably
how
going to see like
Arcane gets you.
the Dragon Knight, right? And they're like it's way better than I know if Arcane was good, but this is better than
Oh,
Arcane.
you're saying this is better than Arcane?
So you're saying that
Okay.
the Dota
Yeah,
anime
I give
is better than
Ooh,
Arcane?
controversial.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, I love Vi. Vi is like
You
my
gotta
favorite.
check it out.
character, but it's
No,
really
you,
good.
you said what you said, baby. I'm gonna find
I
out.
said it. Go find. I watched
We'll revisit
Naomi
this.
on the
Mhm.
CW. I checked that out.
What'd you watch on CW?
Naomi.
Okay. I don't know what that is, but typically it's on CW. It's like you wasting your time. But okay.
The thing is, it's
black
probably
girl.
exactly what you're thinking it is. It's just not
It's a
named
black
what you think
girl.
it is.
Who comes to find out isn't from this world. A whole jazz with that. She becomes and then she's based off a comic book character, obviously. Who kind of some of the same issues. Find out her parents. She knows she's adopted, but she didn't think she was from another planet adopted. Find out her parents are like Thanagarians. Thanagarians, if you're not familiar with them, are like Hawkman and Hawkwoman.
Yeah, I've never met one.
You should try to, get out there,
Yeah.
put yourself out there.
I know, I really do. Diversify my crowd.
Exactly, just being the same old Earthlings,
Yeah. Oh, this is cool.
That it was really good. First, there's only 2 episodes out, so it's hard to tell, but I do like it so far. I finished the first season of Moshoku Tensei last night, Jobless Reincarnation. Because I was laid up and had nothing to do.
Titles of these shows, man.
Yeah, it was really good. Then the other one, can't remember the name of it. Aphrodite something. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Lois and Superman is really good. Second season of that, 3 episodes of that out. Been watching that, and then Peacekeeper was a pleasant surprise. I was sleeping on Peacekeeper. I didn't think. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be, a show. But then I watched it, and it's really, really good. It's like Deadpool meets like kind of like to a smaller extent like Guardians of the Galaxy. Like that's how it feels, but definitely heavily.
James
inspired.
Gunn is behind the show, so that feeling definitely would translate.
This is DC's Loki. What you talking about, bro?
Like I said, this is really good. I thought it was really well written. The jokes were on point. Like nothing felt forced. Everything just kind of flowed together. Like even some of the characters you do hate them for the reasons they set out to you to hate, like John Cena's dad, like stuff like that. Like it's really good. I'm not going to spoil it. Go and watch it. I think the 4th episode just came out on Wednesday. As far as playing goes, I've been playing a lot of the Magic the Gathering. Making some new decks, trying some new stuff out. I actually bought the battle pass or whatever that entails. So you level up, you unlock different stuff, packs, cosmetics, stuff like that.
That's what the pass gives you, like cards and packs.
Yeah. So you unlock the pass
and cosmetics.
Yeah.
So you can look cool when I'm whooping your ass.
Yeah, right.
It's a card game though, right? Like how do you
cards,
dress a card up?
Card sleeves.
Card backs.
Heard of card sleeves?
Card sleeves.
So like, like a bicycle deck, like you got like a little special. Is that no? Not like an alternate
he acting
version
like
of like
he don't
King,
know.
Queen, Jack. I don't know. I don't play trading card games.
So if you were going to have a card, obviously you would have a card. But when you're playing,
You gotta now they gotta go show me
I was gonna
physical
show,
cards.
but you're not there. Oh, he's gonna go get it. Good. So while my assistant is getting the props, so each one might have a different thing on the back. Like you might have like Zelda Link on the back, but your card goes in there. Boom. Yeah, show them demonstrations.
This is your trading card. This
Mhm.
is called a card sleeve. You buy these separately.
Ooh,
What you
yes.
do, they're to protect the
Okay.
card so they don't get messed up from thousands of times of drawing them and
Right.
throwing them on the table. So you boom, kind of do like that,
And you also-
that,
You
and then
also-
your whole deck looks super freaking cool, and you can have a
Right.
theme for the deck and blah blah blah.
Mhm. And in
Nice,
the
okay.
game, you can do that as well. You can have like a little pet in the corner.
Yep,
You
yep,
can
yep.
kind of like a play mat. Your board will look like a different way. Like say if you pick like a snowy mountains,
Okay.
the map will look like a snowy mountain. In real time, you have a play mat where you put your cards on the mat. So you might have, like I said, a Hyrule Signia on the back, on the top of it, and your cards are played on top
Why do you
of that.
keep using Zelda as an example? Do you think I'm some kind of Zelda fan or something?
Yeah,
You
he's
are.
really trying
You
to pull
are.
him in. You know what I'm saying?
You are, yeah, you are. I got to give you something that you can relate to, you know? Aside from that, I haven't gotten to play much. No, yeah, that's probably about it.
Okay. How about you, Rachel?
Play wise, I've been playing some Extraction, Light Blue, which hasn't been bad. I got to write a preview of it where I talked to some of the developers, and considering they told me that the game is basically made in response to Siege and it's based off most of it is based off Siege. It is amazing how different it is from Siege. And when I play it, I don't really know if it's going to last as long as Siege has, but then again, when Siege first came out, I would not have predicted that Siege would last as long as it has. So I've been wrong about these things before. And like Blue said, I do enjoy the risk reward aspect of it. You know, it's like you can reach a natural stopping point a third,
Mhm.
2/3 of the way through the mission. It's like, do you keep going? Do you push ahead, or do you cut your losses and leave with what you've got so far? And I enjoy that, and I enjoy the communication it fosters with other people. But if you do not have other people that you know behind the other headsets, it's
Yeah,
not
I can't
fun.
imagine
Yeah,
how that's supposed to go.
Stressful.
It reminds
Me
me of
and
a GTFO. You guys familiar with that recent release?
I'm familiar. I haven't played it, but I've seen other people play it.
Right, it's like kind of a similar concept. A bunch of people go down in like a alien or monster infested area. They have a bunch of objectives to reach, but they also need to be stealthy and not trigger the aliens. But it's a lot more in depth. Extraction feels like a lighter version of that, which some people would probably prefer, since you probably need much heavier investment in the way GTFO plays that stuff out. And since these are characters that you know already from Siege, like again, you kind of already know what each thing can do. You don't have to learn like a whole new system. Just apply it to this new situation, which can be fun.
Yeah,
But yeah, I had
and
fun with it.
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Blue.
yeah, I was just gonna say, commenting on what you said, opening like that dialogue with the risk and reward. Plenty of times, me and my squad are in there like, can we keep going or can we go? Like, look, I got 5 health. Can y'all protect me? Like, what's the? And then this is this whole argument. I love it because we're like, look, let's get out of here right now because I don't trust y'all. It goes back and forth. It's great. And
I mean, there's times when it feels like the gameplay is a little bit padded to sort of like give everyone something to do. Like the bits where you have to like pull people out of the cocoons.
yes,
And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
one of you has to actually tug.
yeah,
Another one of you is like shooting the little energy balls that are coming on the little
Yeah.
tendrils, and the other one is actually shooting the aliens. It's like,
I love
okay,
that.
you could. I mean, I feel like this is unnaturally fluffed up a little bit. Like you could just as easily have 2 people shooting the aliens, and then the other person just yanking the comatose body out of the cocoon. But it feels like you're fluffing it up a little bit just to give the third person something to do.
I can see
So
that
maybe
because they
that's part of the
definitely,
reason
they
why.
definitely. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say they definitely
No, I just wanna say that
they
was-
mentioned
Finish.
Blue, go first.
they mentioned that it does scale, depending on the amount of people that you have in there. And I never thought about them just, giving the third person busy work. It always felt natural to me, but I didn't look at it like at a, zoom out a little bit. I do think that they could do without it, and just maybe have the tree be more aggressive. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying there. I see what you're saying. But go ahead, Sig.
No, same general point. Like I was like I don't like that there's only 3 players. But from the way you describe it, like yeah, it seems like they did kind of struggle to find more stuff for the group to do, that they weren't all just
Mhm.
doing the same thing. So a 4th player probably would even fly in the face of that. They'd have to fluff it even more. And maybe they decided, oh well, we can probably get away with 3 versus 4.
Yeah,
Because
there's
like
times
I'm
in the
not a fan of the
gameplay.
three player thing. I'm not.
No, yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
He's made
Give me
that
4 players.
a point.
Yeah, there's times in the gameplay when it works. Like I think there's like one, I forget what it's called, but there's one bit where you all have to like deactivate like specific laptops at various points in the map.
Yes. Yeah,
And so
yeah.
you have
Mhm.
to, I mean,
Triangulation.
yeah, at first we were all like, okay, we're like where are they, trying to remember, then racing back. But then, after a while we coordinated and we all like were there stationed. It's like, okay, you hit the button, then you hit the button, then you hit the button. It's like that works kind of. It's still not like hugely like innovative game design, I would
Yeah.
say. But it's like there's times when it works and times when it doesn't. And it's got its good points. I don't know if it's going to interest people as much as Siege, but it is good for what it is, which is, a Ubisoft first person shooter.
Yeah, time will
And
only tell if it sticks around.
and in terms of watching, I finally got around to watching Encanto, which
Nice.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
yeah,
What
it's one
did
of
you
those
think?
that I don't actually it's hard for me because I don't actually like Lin-Manuel Miranda musicals, but then I'll find myself like a few days later, it's like I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh wow, that music was amazing. But then I'll be like, eh, and then a few days later I'm like, we don't talk about Bruno. It's just then I'm like, wait, what?
It
What?
gets in there. Yep.
Yeah,
Definite
yeah.
earworm maker,
So
that man.
I like the story. It's weird because usually in Disney movies, like I like the music a lot more than I like the stories, and in this one it was kind of the reverse. I thought
Mm.
I like that there's no antagonist. I thought that was
Ooh,
I,
I'm
I
gonna
thought
mute
that
up
was
real quick.
a new choice, and yeah, and I like that the dysfunction of the family is not glossed over or easily forgiven.
Right. It has to be worked through. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like a real family.
Yeah,
So
like
yeah, that's about it for me.
I like a lot of these newer Disney and Pixar movies that are telling stories that are much more like small stakes. Like it's not like the fate of the world or the fate of the kingdom or the fate of whatever is at stake. It's more so like the fate of this relationship is at stake.
Hmm.
So like that's the kind of thing that I feel like kind of just pulls things in perspective and really gets that because like I could not explain exactly why the ending scenario in that movie like filled me with tears. Like it was such a low stakes conversation between a granddaughter and her grandmother, but like
Hmm.
you legitimately feel like how much they were holding back from each other until they weren't anymore.
Right.
And I gotta
Absolutely.
say, the only song I actually like when I first heard it, I legit did like is the one with the older sister, "Under Pressure," I think it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Like that was the one that I was like, "Oh yeah, this is like definitely what it feels like to be an older sibling,
Yeah, like
especially an
stuff like
older
that just
sister."
very easily just hit on like just emotion like so well,
Hmm.
and the music helps.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Lin Manuel Miranda fan either, but like
Hmm.
I do think he's actually pretty good at songwriting. He's
Hmm.
he's a pretty decent storyteller using the medium of rap, even though his raps themselves aren't exactly like great. Like he's not a
Yeah.
great rapper. He's really good at using words and rhyme quickly to tell you a
Yeah.
Hmm.
story, which is so close to rap, but just not. It's
Like
like
his
one
raps are like
genome
food with no
removed with no seasoning.
Yeah.
like, it's food, but it's not the best food. You know,
Yeah.
But it
definitely.
works. It's a
Yeah.
good it's a good fit. Him and like the Disney stuff. Like it's
Right.
weird that they. It's not even weird. Like it seemed natural that they came together because he also worked with them on a lot of the songs in Moana, I think too, right?
Yeah, I believe he was if not the composer for Moana, at least he was the composer of a lot of the music. So we're gonna have
Right,
to,
and I really like the soundtrack in that.
Yeah.
yeah, gonna have to bring Blue back in a bit. Apparently, he is not seen Encanto, so
Yeah, I noticed.
Taco
Yeah, go ahead, Blue.
so
Come back to us. It's
I'm done
okay.
talking about it.
Bell. Taco Bell.
I'm back. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm back. What's up, man?
But does that do it for you, Rachel?
Yeah, that's about it for me. Oh, wait.
Uh,
One thing. Sorry. I have actually been watching The Witcher, and I gotta say, one thing I want to say. I wish they would pick whether they want to do these their eye colors digitally or with contacts, because they keep switching depending on the camera angle, and it's messing with my brain a little bit. I mean, on some camera angles, you can see like Yennefer or Geralt wearing very obvious contacts. You can always tell when it's contacts because it's it's convex over the actor's eyes, and you can tell when it's digital because they make it look like light is going through when the camera gets a little bit closer. But it's like you can almost like my fiance and I are like keeping like a running tally of all of the points when it's like, okay, now here's where it was digital. Here, that's like, oh, that's not. They're messing with Yennefer's eyes to make them look purple again. Oh, now she's back to purple contacts. I love everything else about the show, but that is so distracting. And I don't usually notice things like that.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because I've started the most recent season of Ozark, which is a fantastic show. If you're not watching that show, catch up. It's the new Breaking Bad. Like, it's literally just as good as Breaking Bad was. And we've been noticing stuff like that in that show. Like, the show is excellently written. Like, the characters are amazing to watch. The scenarios are like super engaging. But then like you'll see a shot where the door behind him is open. They cut to another angle, the door's closed. They cut to another angle, the door's open. And like
their continuity is messed up.
Yeah, like I don't know what's going on. Like they're kind of hastily editing some stuff, but like it kind of sticks out. Like there's a character who gets a bag put over her head and transported, and like when the bag is lifted, her hair is all frizzy, and then the next shot is all laid down, and then it keeps switching back and forth between like those two shots. It's like that stuff is distracting. Like you start to have a conversation about the inconsistency, and then you start missing what the hell's going on in the scene. So like it's not the biggest deal, but it does. It's noticeable.
Yeah, it's one of those things that if you're noticing it, something's wrong.
That would drive me crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, yes, now I'm done.
Yeah, other than that, I'm really, really loving Ozark. Like, it's such a strong show. Like, honestly, like I'm comparing it to Breaking Bad because, like, you know how everyone is always saying, like, when you have a big hit show, all these other shows are like, will this be the next whatever that show is?
Yeah.
Ozark is literally the next Breaking, like, it's as good as Breaking Bad. Except it's not Better Call Saul. It has nothing to do with those characters, so it's not in that world. It's an entirely different story, but it's a similar situation where like people who are supposedly supposed to be good, upstanding citizens are getting sucked into a criminal underworld, and they're amazingly good at it, and like they're kind of in denial as to whether or not they belong there or not. And like that scenario, like I don't know why it's become like so riveting to watch, but like it really is. Like Jason Bateman, I think. From Arrested Development, I know Blue knows. Like, fantastic actor, love him in everything he's been in. This is the most serious role I've seen him in, and he's fantastic in it. He's so good in that show.
I had a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, my film partner, and he was telling me to watch Ozark. And I said, I have a feeling that somehow it's going to ruin Jason Bateman for me. And he said, it's going to do the exact opposite. Because him in Bad Words was hilarious, but it was a darker side of him that I hadn't seen before. I feel like it was what Michael Bluth always wanted to be from Arrested Development.
But that's the thing. Like, he still very much has that same energy as Michael Bluth. Like, he might as well be Michael Bluth in this show, but like everything else Michael around Bluth him is a lot less silly. Yeah, so it's like, so he has to adapt to his surroundings. So like he's still kind of the same character, but like it's really fun to see him in that role.
Yeah, I think I am kind of mentally prepping to watch that show because I've heard lots of good things about it for a long time now. And again, I've been getting like, most recent recommendations on it. So yeah, it sounds good, man. It sounds good. I feel like it's going to be a dark Michael Bluth.
That's exactly what it is. Like, I think you will really get into it. Outside of that, have you watched any Ozark, Jeff?
Yeah, why not?
Oh my god!
Yeah, well, okay, that sounds. You've absolutely watched it. You've convinced me.
Yeah, exactly. Like I saw when they were laundering money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it though.
So
you saw the part.
Don't spoil it.
The part where they were laundering money. You saw that part.
Yeah, I saw that part.
Gotcha. Great. Awesome.
You remember that scene.
But I've also finished finally The Expanse. They had their final season. I waited for all the episodes to come out. They only had 6. It's bittersweet to see that show go because it's really really good, and they only had the 6 episodes to work with. But in those 6 episodes, they really did conclude the situation from the last season. So even though it did feel a tiny bit rushed, like it's still an amazing like sequence of events and how they get to that resolution. Like and like the dynamic between those because like those characters, like you come to care so much about them. You know what they care about, and like to see what they're fighting against. Like without spoiling, like one of the crew members of the main group, the Rocinante, is a Belter, which is the people who are like born in space. And essentially, this is an all-out war with the Belters, who are, you know, fighting against the Inners, which are like Earth and Mars colonies, because they don't treat them well. Like they treat them as second-class humans because they were born in space and they can't survive on the planet surface. And so, like,
Oh wow.
they've been dealing with all this oppression for years and years and years. Finally, someone rises up and leads them by doing a heinous terrorist attack on the planet. And so, like, they're in all-out war, but it's like this is her people, and she has to fight against them in order to try and bring peace and stuff. And like it, like there's a scene at the end where like the resolution happens, where like you just feel all that emotion and pain on this character. Like, and they do a really good job of just quickly showing you like how much this hurt her to kind of be a part of the opposing side, even though she grew up with all these people and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some story threads that they hint at in this that are like super intriguing, like super sci-fi, weird, out there stuff that don't get a resolution, because the books actually go on, I think, like for 2 or 3 more series after where this show stops. Like there's a time skip and like different things happen. So like they kind of set that stuff up in this, but you don't get a resolution because the series is done, and that's disappointing. So with any luck, like maybe there'll be like a movie that comes down the line, or like another show adaptation that takes it on further. But I've already started buying the books, so hopefully I'll actually read up on all that stuff myself and get those conclusions later. But if you've not been watching The Expanse, it is amazing. Well, one of the best sci-fi shows I've ever seen. Period.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it when I first watched it. I just got busy.
Yeah, you were catching up on that too, right?
Yeah.
But in terms of playing, I still can't talk about the game that I've actually been playing most often. Mm-hmm. But like you guys, I played some Extraction for game night, and yeah, it's okay. That's my evaluation of Rainbow Six Extraction. But with that, we'll move on to our proper topic.
Oh boy!
Big ass Microsoft acquisition. So $68.7 billion, highest acquisition in gaming history. By far, like by leaps and bounds. Still not the highest in just business acquisitions, period, which is still kind of crazy to think about. That amount of money just kind of gets thrown around by companies every now and then.
Right.
But what were you guys' initial reactions to hearing this news? Because I'll tell you right now, mine was, this is fake.
I saw
that was my first reaction,
and I thought it was a good thing. But then more news started to come out, and I got less excited, but then I got excited again. So like apparently Bobby Kotick was shopping around different places because he didn't want Microsoft to acquire them. He didn't want it to be Microsoft for some reason, from things that I've read. But because of nobody else was willing to pay that amount of money, like, what was he going to do? It's like nobody else was willing to pay $68 billion. And I could see that.
It was a little higher than like what their current what their market cap was at the time, right? They were at like 54 or 58 billion or something.
Yeah. Their highest was like 87 or 95 or something, if I'm not mistaken, like 2-3 years ago. So it's technically took a dive since all the crazy stuff that's been going on with Activision Blizzard. I'm glad he's only staying on until they're acquired, like until the deal goes through, and then he's kind of done. Because then like another article surfaced where there was like a meeting about the acquisition, in which it was supposed to be like a half an hour meeting. He showed up like 15 minutes late for it and then ended it early. And people were just like, okay.
Was he not supposed to even be there? Like they called the meeting to talk about it without him, and
no,
he
called the meeting. He called the meeting
to
talk about the acquisition and how things were going to kind of go. and he showed up like 15 minutes late for the meeting. Then he was late for the meeting. Then he ended the meeting early. I think the meeting only wound up being like 10 minutes long or something. And he was basically like, it's going to be business as usual. I'll be on until the acquisition goes through, and then for whatever Microsoft needs me for after, those are some of the things I'll be doing, and then kind of just ended the meeting. I think he just needs to go. I think, especially when the acquisition goes through, I feel like you can't have someone like that left over because people are going to think it's the same company that it was before, no matter how much improvement you've done. And also, I don't feel like he's in tune to fix the workplace environment. I feel like he doesn't want to go because he's getting that money, and that's why he doesn't want to step down. So even though I'm sure it is like, hey, you should step down, his contract I think extends him to like March 2023 or something like that, from what I read. But like no way in my mind I think he was okay with his acquisition, but like I said, I don't think there was anything he could do about it because they're on a downward spiral. Like there was no place to go, and this was the best move for the company to help them get a better light on the company. And Microsoft hasn't been perfect, but it's been way better than Activision Blizzard. I think they need someone to help oversee some change in that company.
That sounds like the plot of Succession. That's so crazy, bro. Like almost to a T. Tell me I'm wrong, Sig.
No, you're right.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Yo, you're absolutely right.
Oh my gosh.
I will say,
watching Succession.
I gotta watch Succession apparently, but I got the call. I was asleep when the news broke, so because
it broke
at,
so
like,
early in the
8:30
day,
a.m. on Eastern time. I was asleep, and I get like some frantic text messages from my coworkers at VentureBeat, and like not even the ones who are on the gaming side, like not even the GamesBeat colleagues, like people from like VentureBeat proper, like text me like, Rachel, did you see what was going on? And I was like, of course I have my notifications on, so I was literally picking my phone up, I was like, huh? And then double take with the wide eyes, like, what? And they're like, Microsoft acquires Activision Blizzard for $68 billion, and I'm like, yeah, well, I think actually it said $69 billion, which is why I thought it was fake at first. I'm like, 60, what?
Yes.
Oh, I love that number. My Twitter name is 69 Bill Bones.
That would be the nice herd round the world. But I mean, Jeff, I'm kind of curious. Where did you hear that it was that they didn't want to be acquired by Microsoft? Because I have heard from the people I know that they did shop around. You're right that they did shop around. From what I understand, but I don't think they had any particular aversion to it being Microsoft. In fact, I think they approached Microsoft initially.
It was an IG article I read that said Bobby Kotick wasn't happy about it, that he was vigorously shopping around because he didn't want Microsoft to acquire them. I'll find the article, but yeah, it was shouldn't be too long. It specifically named him as being one of the people who, well, the only person who wasn't happy about it, that he was kind of
like opposed to it. That does make sense, especially since he's been so bullish about staying on as CEO. Like, oh no, I'll fix whatever the problems are that are here, despite being part of the problem. Like he's not a stupid guy. He knows that if they do get acquired, the first thing that the new bosses will do is get rid of him. And so of course he'd be opposed to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I can see if it's Bobby Kotick in particular who is not particularly, but I mean, I think this is something that this is a calculated move on Microsoft's part. I would not surprise me if they sort of slid into the figurative DMs there, because I mean, it's been, I mean, we talk a lot about, I mean, ever since I come on the show, we've been talking about the sexual harassment and discrimination scandal at Activision Blizzard, but stuff's been rotten there at Activision for a very long time, long before this started. And I think in an interview with, not to keep plugging my own people, but Kotick did an interview with Dean at GamesBeat, and Dean asked him, did that play a role? And Bobby Kotick said, well, not exactly. A return of Grand Duchess Bobby Kotick, by the way. It's like, not really. It was more of the fact that we delayed Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. And I will say, to give complete credit to the man, I think he's right about that, because I mean, when it comes right down to it, I don't think they will care about the well-being of the employees. I think the shareholders care about a lack of product.
That
That's sad.
there's something to that.
Yeah.
Got the right answer with the wrong formula.
Yeah, because their stock significantly dropped after all the allegations and everything started to rise. Like, it took a significant plunge after all that arose. And then it took another plunge in their quarterly call when they announced that they were pushing back both the games. So it took like two big plungers in both those instances where, like, oh, Microsoft Overwatch 2 isn't coming out, Diablo 4 isn't coming out until like either the end of 2022 or early 2023. So they both took a big hit in their stock market prices when that happened.
And then wasn't the most recent Call of Duty release also kind of underselling? Like it wasn't being the one that came before it? Yeah.
Yeah. You can only grow so much, especially in a market like this. I mean, even Call of Duty hits a point of diminishing returns. And I think Activision was realizing even before the DFEH lawsuit that it was starting to hit that point. And they had so many of their chips on the Call of Duty like number. So yeah, there was no diversification there. So I think that's been part of the company's problem. But again, this is a problem that's been going back for quite a few years at this point.
Yeah.
That's just like with Assassin's Creed. It was a yearly release. They found out that they were getting diminishing returns. They need to take a little bit more time, add a little bit more to the game, spend some more time on the game, and then put it back out. And that's when we started getting like Origins, and you saw people actually become interested in Assassin's Creed again. So I think we'll see a move away from the yearly releases once Microsoft acquires them, which is supposed to take place like towards the end of this year. I think that'll be good for the franchise.
I want to say, what did they say, like end of fiscal quarter 2023? They said is when the deal is supposed to maybe wrap up. So it may be longer than the end of this year. But I do think this, because that was one of the big things that a lot of people thought immediately when they were like, oh, Microsoft is going to take over. Does that mean a bunch of developers will be freed from having to work on specifically Call of Duty? Like, will Call of Duty no longer be a yearly release? Will those other satellite studios be able to make new IP? Because Microsoft desperately wants, fresh new IP hitting like every month or something like that. And then, if that's the case, what then becomes of Call of Duty? Like, will Warzone? Because this was something that the Escapist editor-in-chief Nick said, and I kind of believe him. I think this is the best idea. Warzone becomes a thing that stays multi-platform and is like a live service that is everywhere. And then the single-player stuff and the zombie stuff becomes not a yearly release, but like an every now and then release, so that you can actually get people to buy that. And that becomes exclusive to Microsoft consoles. Ooh-wee. So like you'll get your Call of Duty everywhere, but then you'll get the single-player Call of Duty stuff exclusive to Microsoft. So they kind of get it both ways. And that saves all those extra studios from having to make a Call of Duty thing for like the entirety of their lives to do something else.
Right. It'd be similar to Apex is now, where you get events and all this stuff going on, and they make most of their money through obviously microtransactions. So they would probably make more money than they would, and I think a lot of companies are seeing that, releasing something free to play, doing a games as service as opposed to releasing a $60 or $70 game, and then.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can notice sorry, Blue, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, to answer Casey's original question, my initial reaction, I just like you guys, I kind of thought it was a joke. My same friend, my film friend, had sent me the article, and looking at the title, typically when you scan these titles, especially early in the morning, you see like one big name in there. You're like, okay, what did Microsoft do this time? And then I saw Blizzard or Activision Blizzard. I said, wait, what did Activision Blizzard? Wait, why are they in the same title? Yeah, that double take was crazy.
Yeah.
As a gamer, I was hyped, and especially as the Xbox primary gamer, I was hyped. Mm-hmm. And then as like a American citizen, looking at that number, I was just like, oh my god. But that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, that's so it was equal elation and horrification.
I
Yeah.
think you can kind of we've been looking a lot of it from there's been a lot of literature about what it was like, what it's going to be like from Activision Blizzard's side and even from Sony's side, but I enjoy watching the pattern of how Microsoft works because I mean if you look at like based on like what happened with the ZeniMax acquisition, the Bethesda acquisition, um you notice they hadn't Bethesda had not really had a good year for a few years, like for about I think
Hmm.
their last good year was 2017. And
Mhm.
other than Deathloop, they were facing down like a pretty like empty release calendar. And there was nothing coming up. Starfield hadn't even been released or even revealed properly at the time when the
Hmm.
acquisition was going down. So is I sort of enjoy the idea of them realizing, oh crap, we're not prepared to handle this. This is a time when they have the biggest captive audience they are ever going to have, and they don't have games for them. And so I just imagine Microsoft sort of coming in, waving a money clip around with that is absolutely packed to the brim. And with ZeniMax, and then the same thing was going on, I think, with Activision Blizzard. They show up when Activision Blizzard has nothing besides
Yep.
Call of Duty, and even then, that's not really as big an accolade as it used to be. They don't have Overwatch 2. They don't have Diablo 4. We don't even have a release date for Diablo Immortal. And how long has it been since that game was announced?
Yeah.
And
Mm.
so they don't. So Microsoft comes in and says, "Hey, how would you like $70 billion?" I think regardless. I did read the article, by the way, Jeff, and yeah, regardless of what Bobby Kotick might have been hoping, I think even Activision Blizzard would have been a fool to turn down that kind of payday
Oh,
considering
absolutely.
what they're looking down the barrel of. So,
Hmm.
regardless of whether he maybe got overwritten,
Hmm.
bulldozed
I'll accept
by
both.
his
Vetoed.
by some of his fellows at Activision Blizzard, but either that or he realized that this is the smart decision, even if it means he's not going to be part of the company. Which I'm not going to lay all my chips on him being ousted just yet. I think it might be that I don't know if he really wants to report to Phil Spencer.
Oh yeah. When somebody's used to being in power and doing whatever they want, it's a lot harder pill to swallow. I got to answer to somebody else. It, it's just,
But
it just,
Phil would be the new CEO. Like Phil's message that he
yeah,
released said that he would be taking over as CEO once the acquisition is done, which means Bobby wouldn't have a job. So like either they would give him a new job, which seems preposterous, or they'd just be
hmm
Yes.
like bye, which seems
And
more
it's not.
likely.
I'll
that's
tell
what
you
he said.
something. It's not gonna be no promotion.
Nope.
Yeah, but let's not pretend the man does not have a parachute for the gods.
Well, yeah,
Oh yeah,
that is true. That's a thing
Unfortunately.
that leaves a bad
Unfortunately.
taste in everyone's mouth. Is like, well, Bobby Kotick does get a big payday, even
It's gonna be
though,
all right.
like, if he gets fired, he gets a payday. Just because the company's being acquired, he owns a lot of stock, he gets a payday. Like, he's gonna be richer as a result of this. But like, honestly, like, we weren't gonna stop him from being rich. He was already like
yeah,
way more
yeah.
rich than he needed to be. He's been overpaid in that position for years already. Like,
Hmm.
we weren't gonna stop his money. His money already makes him money. So
Yeah.
like that, I don't. That's not a thing that I feel like people should really get hung up on. Like Bobby Kotick, even if he got fired that day and had to go back home with nothing, he was still way more rich than any person in this country probably needs to be. Like he was not gonna have a problem money wise. So this
No.
new money probably won't even affect his life at all in any meaningful way. So that's just the reality, which
Will he work in
sucks.
the video game industry again? I don't think so. Like I don't
Yeah, he
think
will.
I don't
You just
I don't
not gonna see his name on anything, but he's gonna be consulting
yeah,
and
that's
he's gonna be
I
probably
mean,
getting
no,
paid.
I wouldn't be surprised if
He's going
some
to be
other kind
investing.
of struggling. Yeah, he could be. He could be an investor. He could be on a board or something. But I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be completely shocked if some other company that has like a struggling uh, lineup makes Bobby Kotick their new CEO. Because like with everything else that's been done, Bobby Kotick was still good at that job. He made Activision Blizzard a ton of money while he was
He's a
there. And if he's
terrible
still interested in
person.
doing that, yeah, some crappy company is going to be like, hey, do that for us, because they don't care about the optics, they don't care about the politics, they just want the money, and the money follows Bobby Kotick, as we just said.
It's so
yeah.
sad.
So like, I
That's
wouldn't be
so
surprised,
sad.
but yeah.
Yeah.
now
So, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, since we're talking about terrible people and Activision Blizzard, I saw a lot of people talking about like what Microsoft might be doing to sort of fix the culture of Activision Blizzard, and I don't know if that's the right way to look at it. That a Microsoft is either gonna come in and change everything and fix it. Well, I mean, it's gonna be a long time before Microsoft is gonna be in charge of anything at
Right.
Activision
Yeah.
Blizzard. And in the meantime, we've got a lot of people at Activision Blizzard who are not doing well. There are a lot of, as far as I understand it, like a lot of the workplace problems at Activision Blizzard have not been fixed. And there's still the fact that Activision Blizzard is basically like making veiled anti-union threats against its employees and, while outward, very passive aggressively. But, it's still, I think let's not depend on Microsoft, swooping in like an avenging angel and fixing the company, because I'm not
More like a
optimistic about
vulture.
them doing that.
Less of an angel, more of a vulture, right?
Yeah, well,
But
It's like a car accident that knocks your spine back into alignment.
right.
That's stupid. But it makes sense.
I think of the imagery of that, but I think that Microsoft will not want their name on something like that. That might be the only reason that they would make an effort. But I mean, there were a lot of people who were from Microsoft who were part of Activision Blizzard when, all these problems were happening. And I have my concerns about how much they're going to do, how quickly it's going to get done. Yeah, I mean, let's be real. The whole industry could use an overhaul. It's not just this one company. This is just
100%.
the one company that happens to be in the hot seat right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm hoping nobody forgets about this by the time the acquisition has gone through.
I'm so glad you said that, because especially when we're kind of trying to pinpoint when this deal is actually going to go down, how many people are still going to be looking at Activision Blizzard and that workplace environment? Because right now, yeah, it's a hot topic, but a year or two down the line, are people really going to be rallying behind these workers like they're supposed to, like we are supposed to make a whole overhaul in this industry? That's the question. And maybe that's why this is pushed back so far. Like there's lots of factors that could go into this. But honestly, if you think people aren't going to hear that that noise in your car keeps making over time, instead of fix it, you know what I mean? You might just keep running it.
Well, here's what's interesting about that, because this is actually the second part of the story that I have written here, is the QA team for Call of Duty Warzone, Raven Software. They've recently actually successfully put together a union. It's not massive. It's like 30 to 40 people out of the whole of
it was
Raven
like
Software,
78% of their group.
Of the QA department. So like that's just one department of the whole Raven Software, but the majority of that department has successfully unionized. And like they have representation, and they basically called for Activision Blizzard to recognize their representation. And they were forced to basically say that they acknowledged them as a union. I don't know if they've set a date in terms of like, negotiating like new wages or details or whatever yet. Like that's probably remains to be seen. But the fact that this tiny part of the workforce has successfully created a union, I think that does speak to the fact that this isn't something that's necessarily going to just go away, right? Because they need those people. Like people are complaining that Warzone is like bug ridden and filled with all sorts of exploits and stuff. Like those guys need to be doing that job to make one of their most profitable games work properly. So they do have some bargaining power here now that they've come together as a group. And if that's an example that other people within that company can follow, and I'm sure that they're, throwing out their literature this way, that way, and people are taking notice, because this is a first. I don't think there's any other gaming company that has had a successful unionization of workers other than this. So if it ends up helping them, I'm sure you'll see a ripple effect, especially within Activision Blizzard Studios. And that is something that Microsoft will have to deal with. They're another big corporation, which of course doesn't like unionization, but it's going to be their problem once this deal closes. And that's going to be the thing that kind of makes it so that you can't just paint over it with a big green paintbrush. Like you're going to have to deal with that, these new developments.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I admire the stones on these people. I mean, we're talking like 30 employees.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah, that takes some guts, and I admire them
Yeah, they've been
for
out of
doing
work for
so.
weeks now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get excommunicated from big places like that. You know what I mean? Like unofficially excommunicated when you start talking about union.
Right.
Yeah, that's just like you said. They got some cojones to say the least. Yeah, that's heavy.
Okay, so we'll
But
move on
I wish
to.
the best for them,
No, go
for
ahead.
real though. I do wish the best for them, and I hope that more of these workers get the rights that they deserve
Well, I mean, especially
and the
considering
compensation that they deserve.
Yeah, especially considering Activision Blizzard have actively, like, ever since this whole scandal broke, they've been doing their best to try to discourage exactly this kind of thing because
Yeah,
they know
Mm-hmm.
this is the right environment for that. I mean, they've been like they hired a union busting law firm, I believe, to represent them as well. I
Jesus.
know I'm foggy on the names at this point in time. This has been going on for quite some time.
Yeah,
But
it was a while ago.
yeah, and their response was, I again, this is I don't know what is going on with the I don't know who's drafting these responses, but this is like when they said they're carefully reviewing the request for voluntary recognition, which seeks to organize around 3 dozen of the company's nearly 10,000 employees. And I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
you saying that does not make me admire those 3 dozen people any less.
Yeah, if anything, it's
And
more right.
there's by the way, there's something I think them saying that makes me remember that the one of the problems that Activision Blizzard has had for far longer than just this lawsuit is that they have been struggling to fill talent positions for a long time. They've had hundreds of job openings and open positions at their studios that they have not been able to fill. So that has been one of the Achilles heels at this company that might just bring it down, is the fact that they have not been able to keep and retain good talent. And apparently, as we can see, threatening and intimidating them is not necessarily always going to work, especially now that they're kind of getting an inkling that they might not that they aren't replaceable. And that's I mean, we've still got people that Warzone still needs QA testers, for example, and it's not one of those things where you can just necessarily bring in a whole new team and try to train them up and get them to replace the people who are striking.
Mm-hmm.
So that these are people who have are trying to find a way to effectively weaponize their power, and more power to them, I say.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Lampy adds any part of a company can form a union, but there's no requirement for the company to formally recognize them for collective bargaining unless specific conditions are met, such as percentage of total employees being a part of it. They might recognize them as a union, but not be required to bargain with them. Like, that is true, but like just what Rachel was saying, like, this is the environment where they kind of, it's so much more difficult for them to get away with just ignoring this.
Right.
Like, it's in
Yeah.
the news. Like, they have all this scandal. This is the first group of people to do this. Like, they are the first gaming union. All eyes are on this union to see what happens. So right now they're saying, Activision, recognize us. Activision, they blinked. They said, like, yeah, we see that you guys unionized over there. So what are you gonna do about it? They can't, like, after that, if Activision literally does nothing about this, then all eyes are become put on Microsoft to see what they're going to do, because Microsoft isn't going to want to do what Activision did. Like, it's like, you want to just become the new Activision? No, like, they're hoping to clean up that image. So like, this is part of that, like, fixing whatever the problems were, whatever the problems that happened at the company that forced a bunch of people to try and unionize, even though they probably should have been trying to do that again, like, for years now. But like, if it got so bad that they had no other choice but to go this route, Microsoft has to make them feel better. Like, they have to deal with it in some way. I don't think they're gonna just ununionize at this point.
Well, I mean, again, I don't want to necessarily think that Microsoft is going to come in and be more reasonable than Activision Blizzard. I don't want to set us up for that kind of a disappointment.
No, I get how that sounds, but I personally do think Phil Spencer, being the one who's in charge of all this, he has cultivated a reputation for being the person who listens. Like, and not to say that he's not, that he's completely altruistic. Like he does this for specific reasons, to build up the company, to make money for shareholders, blah, blah, blah. But like, I have to give credit where credit is due. Like Phil Spencer, the moves that he makes, he does them when they're public facing in such a light that Microsoft comes out as the good guy. Like that's a narrative that he's cultivated. No one else before him really made Microsoft seem like they were the good guy in a lot of these situations. And I think that's something he values. So if there is a situation that shows up where Phil Spencer is on the hook of being seen as the bad guy, I'm going to assume that he's going to err on the side of, well, let's do what everyone else thinks is going to be right. Because that's just what,
even
that's
if it's
his
a
track
persona,
record.
You think he's going to do the right thing, even if it's a persona.
Even if it's a persona, I don't know what that means.
like even if he's not
just
the
doing
most,
it for appearances.
Yeah, if he's just doing it for appearances,
right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
yes.
He's still going to do the right thing, is what you're saying.
Right, because the public face that he's built for him as the top of Microsoft is, look, we love video games, we love our consumers, and everything we do is to help those two things. So if his back is against the wall and they say like, Phil, if you don't do this, Microsoft is a bad gaming company and you don't care for the consumers, you're gonna be like, well, damn it, now I have to do this. Like that's just how I feel. Like it might be completely untrue, but that's the vibe I get.
I don't see him doing what led to such a volatile situation at Blizzard, where something happened, it was reported, it was ignored. Something else was happened, something else was reported, it was ignored, and it just created that environment. I don't see something being reported like we had the issue. Come to find out, Bobby Kotick knew about a lot of this stuff and did nothing. I don't see the same thing happening where it comes to his attention that these things are happening, and he's just like, yeah, I'm going to pretend I didn't know anything about it. No, he's going to make an example. That's what you do when you take over a new company or you go to, even if I'm for work, if I take over a new store, something comes to my attention. I don't know what the prior involvement was. All I can go by is the way things are supposed to go. I don't know what happened before, but this is how things are supposed to go. Something comes to my attention that happened. I don't have any attachment to anybody here. Number one, I just got here. So if something happens, I have no problem reprimanding, getting rid of somebody or whatever involves. But also to let people know if you need to come talk or something's going on, don't be afraid to bring it up. So that way we don't have the same issues that we had before I got here or whatever it is. To also raise the morale. If you just have people coming in and feel like their voice isn't heard, they're not going to be invested in where they're working. They're just going to come in as just a job. If they get another one, they're going to be gone. They're not going to show up. They're not going to put their best foot forward. But if they come in and they feel valued, that you care about them aside from the job they're supposed to do, it's going to add more to their relationship with the company and also with you.
I got to be honest, Jeff. I do believe that Phil Spencer has the capacity to ignore complaints, just like Bobby Kotick. No, I'm saying that he has the capacity. I don't have any.
I think everybody has the capacity, but we have to.
Yeah, so there's nothing. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing telling me that he wouldn't do that,
and there's nothing telling you that he would. The absence of evidence isn't evidence. You do know that.
Yeah,
well, there's no evidence to suggest that he would address complaints.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, we're just talking about we're comparing vibes of Phil Spencer at this point, basically. We have no evidence. We have no evidence that they're going to do that. Microsoft is going to act one way or another. It's just
right.
What vibe do we get from Phil Spencer, and how does that what impression do we get from him, and how he would run Activision Blizzard if he had complete control? But I think it's pertinent to remember that he's not going to be in charge for quite some time. If he ever is.
His stint when he takes over. We can't judge somebody off of if he has no bad prior behavior. That does not mean that no good prior behavior that you can bring up. Just like if he doesn't have any bad. Like if someone goes to court, you can't say, well, we don't have any evidence that he didn't do this, but we don't have any that he did. So,
well, before any of this stuff came out, we could say the same thing about Bobby Kotick.
Hold on, we did. We found out that he knew about this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. So, like later on in the future, if we find out that Phil Spencer knew about all, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying I wouldn't put it past him to have hidden something if something came up.
I don't see that happening because it's better to get out in front of something when you notice there's been an issue going on, and if it comes to light that you knew about it, you're equally as culpable as the person who did it, as opposed to Bobby Kotick. He was already so far into it. This has been going on for years. So, where there's a buddy system where he knew somebody that he liked or was attached to that he didn't want to reprimand, and he just kind of slid it under the rug. So the next time that happened, he couldn't say something about this guy because he let this other guy slide with it. It just became a snowball downhill. So years later, when it finally comes out, he's like, that he knew about it. It's almost impossible that he didn't know about it, because he also had some lawsuits that were paid out because of some of this stuff that were sealed because of obviously, once you get paid, you can't bring this up or say anything to the media, that type of stuff. So that is past behavior that he's known for years, just because those lawsuits would have came to his attention as the CEO.
All right, so I want to call attention to a conversation that's been going on in the chat right now. Lampy and Deebs both going back and forth about the fact that Phil Spencer is not the head of Microsoft, just Microsoft Gaming, in which case they can probably overpower him even if he did want to recognize, a union. Like if they don't legally have to, it's not necessarily up to him whether or not they recognize, a union. So it can basically be publicly perceived as like, oh, well, I wanted to help you guys, but it's out of my hands. Like that's what they're saying. Like he gets kind of a get out of jail free card with that kind of a rhetoric. Like that's what they were going on about in the chat. I just wanted to bring that up. What's your take, Rachel?
Well, I think there is an option. It's a little cold-blooded, but I think the option for Microsoft is still on the table to recognize the workers' complaints without recognizing the union, because they have this all started because Raven Software employees were not treated very well. Like a bunch of them had their contracts renewed or they were moved to full-time positions. A bunch of them weren't, and so they were effectively laid off. Some of them had just moved to new cities to work at Raven Software. So that's how this whole thing started, was that some of them were not treated fairly by the company, and then it's sort of like become an even bigger thing from there. And so that's why, the environment seems right for them to try this unionization thing, and again, more power to them. But I think if Microsoft says, you know what, sure, we will pay you fair compensation and we will rehire these workers who were unfairly, again, not to say they can necessarily do that, but that option is still on the table. It isn't just recognize the union or don't recognize the union. They still have an option to do something that seems fair, but is not, does not necessarily like bring in all the bring in the union in any way.
And if that were to happen, if they meet the demands that the union people have, but then don't recognize their ability to bargain, is that enough, you feel like? Or is still basically the nightmare that everyone is perceiving, the nightmare scenario where Microsoft comes in and does nothing and things remain the same? Like, is that enough?
I mean, I think that, game workers in general need to be at least having the conversation about unionizing a lot more than they currently can. And I think this is just going to be another case of a big corporation, which obviously does not want unions, does not want to recognize unions, coming in and basically like collapsing the souffle. That's
right.
I don't think, that will be a good thing for the Raven Software QA workers, especially the ones whose contracts were not renewed. But it's not necessarily going to be a good thing overall for the health of the industry, if that's what you're asking.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Like they are still very massive companies. Like we can't lose sight of the fact that a union is a good idea for the working class, not a great idea for the corporate elite. Like they are going to do what they need to do to try and stuff that so that they can continue to make more money than they should be making, in all honesty. But we'll move off of that, because that's a back and forth that we're not going to solve here today, and we don't know what's going to happen until probably a year and a half from now at most, or at least I should say. But we'll move on to like just the final sticking point about this situation here is that with Microsoft now owning, or eventually coming to own, Activision Blizzard, that puts the highest selling video game that's on multiple platforms in the roster of Microsoft exclusives. And Sony, who lost $20 billion in stocks when this news came out, basically had to put out a post that said, like, look, we heard the news. We're pretty sure Microsoft is going to keep Call of Duty on our platform, so don't freak out, everybody. And then from that point had a phone call with Phil Spencer, where Phil Spencer basically said, like, look, I assured them we will honor all of our contractual agreements. Everything that's supposed to be multi-platform or be on a PlayStation will continue to be on a PlayStation for as long as those deals are in place, which is kind of a way of saying, like, look, things can change in the future. They just won't change right now.
Yeah.
So my question to you guys is, what do you think the future of Activision properties will look like now that they're all owned by Microsoft? Like, is this actually sort of a significant blow to Sony, or will they be able to hold on to some of their bigger multi-platform games like Call of Duty?
I think this is the fun part of the conversation, to be honest. This is speculation of what a lot of the Xbox main gamers got excited about. You know what I'm saying? What does this look like? At a minimum, I'm hoping for timed exclusives. At a minimum, just a little tease back on what Microsoft had in the past. Sony's been pulling the big exclusive.
Sony.
How
it's
long?
Their entire their entire strategy is to just have high quality exclusives.
Now Microsoft just bought a gun, and they got the bullets.
They
loaded it up. And they got their hand on the trigger, and they can pull this whenever they want, as once the acquisition is done.
Yeah, well, like once those contractual deals, whatever, are up, they have some decisions to make.
When I saw this article, I said, "What else was Sony gonna say?" Don't worry, everybody. It's gonna be okay. We just lost some money, but it's fine. They sit there sweat like in the room full of fire, talking about I'm fine. But no, this article was. It felt like Sony had to say something because Sony does not talk to their people on a regular basis.
That's true.
Sony said there's some news that had to come out. They said, we called them up and said, are we still good? And Phil said we good. So guys, we're good. That's what that article was.
That had to go. I bet you that conversation went down exactly like that. Like Jim Ryan just got on the phone. It's like, Phil, we good? We good?
He's like, yeah, man, we good. Yeah, you good, man. Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, man. When it happens, it happens. Don't worry.
I do think it's amusing that everyone is all in favor of exclusives when it's Sony doing it, but then Microsoft acquires a bunch of studios, and everyone's like, "Oh God, what if they make things exclusive?"
How many times did Phil Spencer let that phone ring? How do you think?
Sony's on the phone. Tell them I'm out to lunch.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I think the prevailing wisdom, I think, when it comes to all Microsoft acquisitions, is that this is all in service of Game Pass. This is all to get things on Game Pass, make it an even more appealing property. And I think at this point, I mean, just proposing the hypothetical out there, that they don't necessarily need to make Call of Duty exclusive now or ever. It's about having a whole thing where, like, well, you can get Call of Duty on PlayStation if that's what you want, or you, for the same amount of money, you can get Call of Duty and all of these other games on Xbox. I think that's the appeal they're going for, and that's why I don't think they necessarily need to make it exclusive.
Can I add something to what you just said, right? So not just all these games on Xbox, but all these games on your PC as well. And for some people, all these games on your phone. This is not something that you can regularly do on the Sony platform. What I see in the future is if there's a PlayStation 5 in my home, it's going to be right next to my Switch as a novelty item. I only have a Switch so I can play Smash and so I can play a couple other games, right? That's really, honestly, I initially bought it to play Smash with y'all, and then kind of kept pushing from there, and it got some other things. But it's a novelty item in my home. It's nothing that I use necessarily on a regular basis. My Xbox is on almost every single day, or my PC is on every single day, which is the same freaking package, right? PlayStation 5, I think it's going to be, okay, I really, 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 really want this game. Let me spend 400 plus on it, which is I mean, and that's why I put all those reallys right before it, right?
But that is the basis of Sony's like entire appeal, is that they say like, look, you really, really, really want this game. Like you want God of War, you want Horizon Zero Dawn, you want Spider-Man. Like they are fantastic exclusives that you'll only get on Sony's console. But while it seems like while they focus specifically on doing that and that being the model going forward, Microsoft pulled out from under them literally every other game, like anything else on that platform other than Sony's first party exclusives. Microsoft has kind of stolen, either put on Game Pass so that it's more easily accessible at a lower cost, or outright bought so that now they own it. Like Deathloop is a Microsoft exclusive, even though that's a Sony exclusive right at the moment. Same thing with Ghostwire Tokyo that's coming out in the future. MLB The Show, which is Sony's exclusive baseball series. You guys remember? The MLB was like, hey, put this on everything. And then when they put it on Xbox, Microsoft put it on Game Pass. This is a $70 game that's a Sony exclusive, but is included in Game Pass on Xbox. Like that difference, just like Rachel said, you don't have to make Call of Duty exclusive. All you got to do is put it on Game Pass. And if you got to pay Sony's 70 or 60, because I don't know how much you pay for a Call of Duty campaign nowadays, but if you got to pay full price on Sony, but it's included in Game Pass on Microsoft, you're losing money by choosing Sony's console. Like it's just not the same value.
Now,
like,
well, a lot of people,
for anyone, like only hardcore loyalists are going to stick with Sony in that kind of scenario.
I think a lot of Sony ponies would retort and say that the quality of the games is really what you're paying for, and the quality of the system. Now, I'm not saying I attest to that, but I can hear that would be the pushback on that. You know what I mean? When you play a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, it's nothing like anything on the Xbox or the PC platform. See what I'm saying? And I think that's the biggest pushback that you can hear from Sony. But again, if you don't really, 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 really want that game, that's a whole bunch of nothing that I just said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, feel like you're right. Like as of now, as of the last 10 years or so, like Sony has dominated for that exact reason. But like that's exactly what Microsoft took aim at. Like all the studios that they bought, all the studios that they now have, they will be making first party games. They're trying to replicate that. So like on top of having that huge library, on top of having your favorite third party studios coming under their wing and being accessible on Game Pass, they also want to give you high quality exclusives that you won't be able to get on Sony as well. Like that's still coming. That's on the horizon. Like they have Avowed and
Starfield,
Hellblade, Starfield.
You got Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, like that's coming. Perfect Dark is coming from Initiative. Like they want to match that quality for their system as well. But in addition, they just have every other game under the sun. Right. It's like it's hard to argue against. So like the thing is like Sony is, I think, in trouble here. Like they do want to do a their Spartacus service, right? It's supposed to be their version of Game Pass that they're spinning up.
Right.
Like if that gets off the ground, I personally still feel like Sony would be hesitant to put their first party exclusives day one on that service. Yeah. Like I feel like it's going to be a vehicle for like their older content, like maybe PS3 games, which have been elusive for them to bring forward for a while now, and some of their best PS4 games, because they had fantastic exclusives on the PS4. But like all this new PS5 stuff that's exclusive, I don't see that hitting that platform for them, because Sony still fancies themselves another Nintendo and feels like they can kind of do what they want and ask for what they want when they release an exclusive. And as Days Gone has proven, that's not always the case.
Yeah. So something that dawned on me is not only will they acquire Activision Blizzard, they'll get the esports scene with Overwatch. The Overwatch League? So I'm wondering
also StarCraft.
Yeah. Actually, that I think is a much bigger deal than the Overwatch League. Even though I'm a huge Overwatch fan, I actually don't like the Overwatch League. And it's not because I don't respect the players by any means. It's more the games, because of the meta of Overwatch. I'm not gonna go too far into it, but the meta of Overwatch, they get a little bit boring, because they're kind of doing the same plays. I think Overwatch is exciting right below the pro level. right below the pro level. It's a weird dynamic. We'll talk about it another time. But the StarCraft scene is e-gaming scene is huge, and that is something I didn't think about, Jeff. The esports acquisition. I wonder how that folds into everything, and I want to see how profitable that actually is. Because I know StarCraft is almost like cultural at this point.
Yeah. Blizzard said they were getting away from RTS, so they weren't looking into putting out another StarCraft. I think that might change with Microsoft, because how much they pushed for like Civilization.
Like, I was about to say they had huge history in RTS with Age of Empires, and a lot of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that actually might be something that they want to pump a little bit more money into. That's interesting.
And I wonder how BattleNet's going to fold into Xbox when all that stuff goes on. So this is a lot of moving parts.
Oh wow!
How they're going to work when this acquisition does go through, because BattleNet is a Blizzard only service. If I log into BattleNet,
you can actually link your Blizzard and Xbox accounts already.
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna maybe tighten that grasp a little bit more. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying.
From Blizzard, from BattleNet over to like Microsoft, because
I don't think they need to do all that, but they might.
Well, one thing we haven't mentioned yet that I think should not go unaddressed is that they also got King in this acquisition. The Candy Crush people.
Yes.
The mobile gaming like titans. So that is also a really big deal. So any way you slice it, this deal, I think that's a lot of money to spend, but I think that was worth like every amount of money to every penny to Microsoft.
Whenever I hear mobile games, one of the very first titles that comes to mind is Candy Crush. You know what I'm saying? That is the first, like, in my opinion, that was the first like viral mobile game. And then you had like, what was the bird one? What was the bird one?
Angry Birds.
Angry Birds.
There's Angry Birds, and then there was Flappy Bird, right? There's a couple. But the fact is, Candy Crush kind of started that wave for me, at least. And the fact that it's still around, and now Microsoft got their hands on it, that's a nice little nugget. I ain't mad at it.
Yeah, DJ in chat says, doesn't that mean Microsoft also acquired World of Warcraft? Yes, it does. That's exactly what that means. That's a whole
could see that on the Xbox platform.
Yeah, they extended their mobile gaming portfolio just by acquiring them. Like, it's just ridiculous because now they have a dedicated studio for mobile games. I'm sure they had one before, but now they have one that has a proven track record with mobile games. I mean, Candy Crush, was huge. Probably still is, but
I think it's still huge. Yeah,
it still is. Like, I saw commercials for Candy Crush last week, like with big name actors. Like, they're making money still.
So Lampy in chat is pushing back.
Lance Reddick was
regarding to the attractiveness of Game Pass. Lampy says that Game Pass is $180 a year. That's more than a lot of people spend on games in a year if they just buy them. He's also stating that Game Pass is good for some gamers, but it's not for all gamers. I agree. I do think Game Pass is not for everyone, but I disagree that if you are a gamer who spends the $500 like it did this generation on a new console, you probably spend more than $180 on games for that console.
Unless you're just playing free-to-plays that are cross-platform.
Right. Not only that, if you buy a $500 console and you just play Fortnite, then sure.
Right. Let's say you try the game, you pay for this game, now you're stuck with that game. As opposed to Game Pass, I'm not sure about it, but now it's Extraction. I can try it on Game Pass. I didn't have to dedicate $60 to go and buy it. I know it's $39.99, but I didn't have to go spend money on it and buy it. Because once you buy it and you play it, you own it now. There's no returning it. Aside from I'm about to say Game Pass. GameStop.
Right.
But on Game Pass, you can try a game. Because a lot of games I wouldn't buy, but I'll try it on Game Pass. I'm like, oh, that's really good. Outsiders.
Right, and I think that's what's key. Like people who maybe don't play everything or don't want to play everything, you can still very easily understand the value of having a library because Netflix exists. Almost everyone has Netflix or access to Netflix. So like you can see the value of just having access to a big library, whether you are going to be interested in every single thing there or not. Because if you're interested in at least one thing, you've saved money.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with what Lampy's saying that Game Pass is not something that's going to appeal to everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
not
it
everyone for
is.
sure.
Well, although I will say, $180, that's the price of Game Pass Ultimate. There are cheaper plans, but they're not that much cheaper. So I
Yeah,
will
you're right.
concede the point. But I mean, I do agree it's not something that is going to be like it's not something a lot of people are going to care about. It's not so, there are a lot of people like, okay, I just want to buy this game. Although I will say, if you're buying it's always baffled me a little bit. You're buying a really expensive console and you're only going to play one game on it a year. But
Yeah, like that
but
doesn't
again,
really
that's not my
track.
place to judge. It's not my place to judge that if that's what people want to do. But I will say those people were never going to buy Game Pass. That's never going to appeal to them. That's not the target audience of this, I don't think.
Mhm.
Although I will add, I mean, $180, that's three AAA
Yeah,
games a year. So we got to remind ourselves of the escalating cost of games here. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, Lampy also saying I buy a few AAA games a year. Like, sure, that's
A
AAA game
few.
cost. What about
Yes.
all of the indies? What about all of the AA games? A lot of that stuff is also on Game Pass. Stuff that won't take you 60, 80, 100 hours to complete. Something that you play for like a day or two that you really enjoy or complete
They're good
even.
quality
Or
experience.
if you
That
wanted
stuff
to
is
play those,
also there.
or if you wanted to play with friends. Remember, Xbox Live is rolled into Game Pass.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Yeah, like some people are probably signing up just because
well,
they have
and
friends who are interested, so like they would basically swap over to do that. And the barrier for
Because it used to
entry
be-
doesn't cost you the $500 console because they have cloud gaming and
Yeah.
they have PC Game Pass.
And
I've
we're
been
not trying to
streaming
evangelize.
Extraction, but it's the truth though.
It always ends up sounding like that, but that's just how insane of a value this is to a consumer. As someone who
he
has
gets very
paid
excited.
Look, as someone who has paid for video games, had to scrounge money and sell stuff back to game stores to get all the latest games or the games that you want for your entire life, the invention of Game Pass has changed my life.
Don't talk with your hands.
No. I want to say. I was
Like,
gonna
it's
mention
not
this
an
earlier, but
exaggeration.
I'm like, no. I was gonna say this earlier, but I was just like, no, this might be too far in the weeds. But is this trauma that we're dealing with? Because I do remember building up weeks and months as a young kid trying to get that $50 to get a game, right?
Right.
And now
Yeah.
I have a whole bunch of games right now. Is this just like a mental thing that I gotta figure out?
It
or
might
is this
be. It
actually a
might
good
be.
deal?
Like
I
as hard as
think the
as
real
hard as it
asshole-
is.
What?
No, I was gonna say, like as hard as it has been to have this as your hobby. Like gaming is an expensive hobby.
It used
Like
to
so, like those are there are scars that exist from you trying to keep up to date with this stuff. Like I've had all 3 major consoles since like 2005 or something, and like I that's because like that was my passion. Like I needed to know what was on those other consoles at a certain point, so I had to grind, spend, sell to keep up with that stuff. This makes that so much easier for someone who gives a damn about games, who wants to play a bunch of games. Like Games Pass takes that into consideration, that someone wants to play a bunch of games that doesn't have infinite money.
Yeah, and you got to look at it when the parents buy a
just
new
true.
console. That appeals to them as well. Oh, I can buy this
Yes.
for $15, and he gets over 100-something games. I don't have to decide the games for him. Get him one game for $60. No, I buy this card. He gets online capability, and he gets all these games. Oh yeah, that's going. You know what I'm saying? It's an attachment
Yeah,
for that.
I've had friends call me up because they know I'm big into video games and stuff. They don't really care or know. Like my own brother has called me and basically asked, should I get a PS5 or Xbox? Based on how they play games, based on them trying to buy games for their kid, I'm like, hey, this is a better value. Like, because if you get the PS5, you'll have to buy every single game that they want to play on it. I mean, but then you have to sign up for the PlayStation has other options as well. Game Pass is just a better deal. I'm sorry, it is.
Well, I'm
Point
just
blank
saying
period.
that I feel like the asshole here, if there is one, is a games industry that has normalized such expensive costs for games. So,
Mhm.
like, I mean, just to address Lampy for a minute, it's like when I say that, when you say I only play a few AAA games per year, and I'm like, yeah, $180 is the cost of a few AAA games per year. That's not me like trying to evangelize Game Pass to you. That's me saying like, yeah, this industry has charged astronomical prices for games, for individual games for a long time. That's why Game Pass feels like, especially to, people like the 4 of us who play a lot of games every year.
Mhm.
And, and have to pay for a lot of them. So yeah, I understand what you're saying, Lampy, that it's not something that's going to appeal to everybody. It's not it I don't think it was ever intended to necessarily, but it is
I think
something that they're trying to like because yeah, if you just like go on the I'm sorry, let me gather my thought. If you just go by that number, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate costs $180 a year. Yes, that sounds absurd, and most people go, "I'm not spending that much." But if you did then turn around and say, "Well, that's the cost of about 3 AAA games a year," it's like that comparison. I feel like that is just like a better indicator than anything of just how absurdly overblown this industry has become.
If we're doing the
Like
math, is it not cheaper than $3 $70 games?
$370 games, but I mean, like, if you were going by the old metric of $60,
Yeah, the 60, yeah.
yeah.
And now we can just pray for $60 games.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If we
I
talk about
remember
quality.
I remember when games are $49.99. Remember when 64 cartridges were $49.99, and then they took a bump.
No, the N64 was they were 50?
They were 50.
N64
Some of
games?
them.
I felt like they were 60.
They got there.
Oh, you know what?
no.
Yeah, the prices did move. They weren't all the same price. N64 cartridges.
I think
I want to say Perfect Dark was $60.
That was because of the expansion.
That was, yeah, exactly. Because it had like
that makes sense.
It had expansion pack. It had extra crap in it. That game.
Like DLC.
ballooning development costs, ballooning consumer costs. It's
Yep.
just that's why eventually we just come around to, like, here's just all the games for like $15 a month. Here you go. And and we look at that and we're like, oh, what a bargain, because that's what like you said, Blue. It's like this is what our like financial trauma has brought us to.
Yeah. It's scary, bro.
Levy says, I agree, Rachel, which is why I feel the argument of this all to chuck everything on Game Pass, which is great, isn't a great argument because there's a lot of people who aren't using Game Pass. But you have to remember, Game Pass doesn't stop you from buying those games. If you don't have Game Pass and you care about the stuff that's on Game Pass, you can still just buy it. So I don't see a downside, right? Like, it's not locked behind the paywall. You don't have to subscribe to a monthly charge if you want to play whatever's on Game Pass. This is an option. So I don't understand the pushback. Like, it is a great deal for the people who want to use it. For the people who don't want to use it, they don't have to. You do have to buy a PlayStation 5, though, if you want to play the stuff that's on PS5.
You get those rewards for playing Game Pass games. I think I've accrued like at least $80 worth.
I've got
a
couple months free.
Xbox gift cards just for doing like my daily bounties on like logging into a game or playing a game on Game Pass. So $80 within a year, that minuses the $180. And I don't play like every day, but it's acquired enough to where I could like use gift cards to that I've got as rewards through playing on Game Pass.
Yeah, I mean, and to be fair,
if they make it exclusive, like Lampy, like, I don't know why you're rallying so hard against Game Pass. You do know, like, Xbox exclusives run on PC. Yeah, nothing's exclusive on that thing. You can buy almost every first-party Microsoft game on PC without having to be signed up to Game Pass.
Now, I know we've talked about Game Pass for a bit, but
we have
something about them acquiring World of Warcraft. What do you think they're going to do with that? I don't see that coming to Xbox. There's no point of it at this point because it's been out so long that it would just. I don't think there'd be enough new players on Xbox to justify bringing it over. Now we've seen them bring over stuff that's been out for years, like Phantasy Star Online 2, but I don't see them doing that with World of Warcraft. Yeah, no, I don't know if I would care at this point.
Like Elder Scrolls Online is another MMO that they own, which is on Game Pass.
They own it through ZeniMax and through Bethesda, which is weird because they own both the companies that are.
Nobody wants it. They're like, "You take it." No, you take it. You take it.
It's actually on. I think it's number 3 or number 4 on the top 10 MMOs out right now. Final Fantasy 14 was number 1.
Yeah, it's up there. Yeah, Final Fantasy 14 has taken the crown, but World of Warcraft is still popular. Elder Scrolls Online is popular as well. So the fact that they own both of them, they'll probably just do whatever they do right now with Elder Scrolls Online, which is you're able to, since that game is a console game, I don't think WoW is on any consoles.
Right.
Since they own the PC side too, you just get extra bonuses. Like you get like I think monthly you get like some kind of like in-game currency boost or something, but you still have to pay for the subscription to Elder Scrolls Online. Like that's not included in Game Pass. I know there was some speculation of whether they would make WoW like include like the WoW subscription included in Game Pass, but I doubt it. Like,
but the only thing that
not the model they follow.
In the Elder Scrolls Online, when you pay for that, is an experience bonus. You get crafting materials every day, and you get free crown points for the store every month. So, and all the DLCs are free when you pay for it. But on Game Pass, you just get the base game and whatever DLC you bought right out. So it's still free. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just gives you an incentive to pay $10 a month for the ESO pass for all those different things.
And to be fair, if you're playing an MMO like that, like don't buy any other subscription services. Just pay for your MMO and play that. Like that eats up so much time. I don't know what you're doing if you're paying for other services.
True.
Yeah, this is just a huge shift in the industry. Right. All of it. So
and the economy.
Like this is the kind of stuff that that like excites me because like stuff starts moving. Like the pieces are set. Like this showdown between Microsoft and Sony that has just been bubbling up for years and years and years now. Like basically like a huge shot was just went over the cross of Sony's bow, and Sony now has to react because they are still the leads here. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Sony is still the number one console maker. They still have a lot of the mind share of like the general gaming public. Like people don't really think that they don't think Microsoft when they think video games. They usually think Sony or Nintendo, right? Like the casual player, right? But like this could force Sony to do a couple more consumer-friendly things because they've been very anti-consumer for quite a while now. Like that's the push I want to see. Like if Microsoft is gonna get all up in their face, take all their Call of Duties away, Sony's gonna have to start doing stuff that will endear them to the public again. Because this ain't it. What they've been doing hasn't worked. They made what?
They made phone calls to Phil Spencer.
They made phone calls
and released an article about it. No, I
but that's just to save their bottom line, right? They're like
that article.
Right. They put that article out to I think like that was specifically for shareholders though. Like Sony was like, look, we need to get information out that calms the shareholders down. When was the last time Sony did or announced or released something that was specifically for the benefit of its fans, for the people who buy and play their games? Because the last thing I could think of is like, hey, remember those exclusive games you love? $70 now. Thanks. You're welcome.
See you at the cash register. I do remember the TED Talk they had on how the audio on the PS5 was going to be
on how the PS5 sound works.
And I'm sure that man was correct. But he gave me the best nap of that year. I need them to talk to people. Talk to people, not shareholders, like you're saying. What you got, Rachel?
I was just going to say, we've been like talking about like the business and like all that sort of like just as a fun, like a more fun topic. Phil Spencer did say he's kind of interested in revisiting some of Activision's older franchises. So
yeah,
what do you guys want to see come back?
It's funny you mentioned that because I heard a rumor that Blizzard's been working on re-releasing some of their old stuff already, like before this news came out.
Those 3 Vikings, I forgot what that game was called.
Yeah, I think it was called
Lost Vikings.
Yeah, Lost Vikings. There you go. Yeah, that's also been referenced in Overwatch, the Lost Vikings. So there's definitely a lot of
Isn't Torbjorn one of the Lost Vikings?
So it's kind of rumored that he is, but on Blizzard World, which is like their ode to Blizzard, they're featured in some of the little like gift shops and stuff like that.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I think the Lost Vikings would be a nice throwback title, but it'd have to be on one of those like collections of old shit that people like to play out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think the initial Warcraft would be good remastered, and some of the other sequels to that. A whole legacy run of the Warcraft, I think, would be dope. Give people more a clean representation of the story before World of Warcraft, or I should say alongside. I'm not exactly sure of the chronology, but you put out a movie about it, you put out this MMO. If you put out a polished version, you'll get some interest back in it. Look at what happened to There's a lot of things that can be polished and reinterested. I think Warcraft is one of them.
Yeah, Warcraft was fun. It was definitely better than the re-release version it released. So I would like to play the older version. So,
but then that's even more into what we talked about earlier, the vein of RTS. You know what I'm saying? So Microsoft already kind of likes those. Blizzard's already been kind of talking about it. Let's go ahead and do that. Yeah, give me a little legacy Warcraft.
Well, I don't think this acquisition affect anything that's supposed to come out this year or next year, like Diablo 4 or Overwatch 2. I wonder what they're going to do with those properties after the acquisition. And there's a cat behind you. I don't know what it's doing, but it's behind you.
It's probably going to try to knock Master Chief off the shelf.
My dog's been asleep on the floor like this entire time. But I mean, I want to see a new Spyro game. I mean, that's not Blizzard, that's Activision itself. But I want, I think Bobby Kotick also mentioned something about Skylanders coming back, which I guess I'd be fine with. But I just want another pure Spyro game. Toys for Bob did such a great job. I want more of my purple. Like he's over there, right there. You can see him. I want more of my. I need more of my purple sun.
Like the last Spyro game that came out was a. Yeah, wasn't that that was a remaster?
It was a remaster.
Or
the
remake
remaster of the original. A remake of the original trilogy. And then before that we had The Legend of Spyro, which kind of sucked ass, but pardon my French.
I've never been super big on either Crash or Spyro, but it would be cool if Microsoft took the time and energy to bring those characters back for people who like them, and we had like quality big platformers again. But if anything, I would want to see them really take a crack at bringing the Tony Hawk franchise back, because like the skateboard, like the remake they did of 1 and 2 apparently was pretty good. So like that kind of sets the stage for doing another one of those and like actually nailing that finally. But I'm actually more excited and then immediately disappointed that they now have Guitar Hero and they can maybe make Guitar Hero come back in a proper way, but then forget like, wait, no, the people who really made Guitar Hero is Harmonix, and they're not part of this, right? Yeah, so like unless they went and got Harmonix, like I don't really care about Guitar Hero because Rock Band was the one that I actually liked when they left and continued making those kind of games. So that kind of
they ended up on Fuser
on that fire. Right. Yeah, and Fuser out here is pretty good.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and then Diablo 4,
What about it anyway?
I know, just I wanted to mention it.
I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about whatever these newer studios, well not newer, these older studios that have been trapped and chained to Call of Duty. Like Microsoft just says like, hey, you're free now. Give us some ideas, and like we get something really cool and new. Like that's what I'm actually the most excited for when the dust settles. Hoping that that's actually what they do.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad if they took on a Mandalorian game. I wouldn't mind that, like a first-person shooter with gadgets and whatnot.
Don't they have a Star Wars thing coming? There's some
Activision.
No,
I think didn't Microsoft have something? No. Somebody has a secret Star Wars project that I can't remember.
It wouldn't be a secret if you knew about it.
It's a secret because we don't know anything else about it.
Is it Eclipse? Star Wars Eclipse? Is that what
no, Eclipse. Isn't that the Quantic Dreams thing?
Yeah, the action narrative.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so
we don't.
Nobody. I don't know what I'm talking about either. Apparently. But yeah. So any other like wants, needs, predictions for what to come of this situation? Nope. That's gonna do it, I suppose.
Xbox Multiverse. Yeah.
You know what? No, that's a good point because they brought up that
Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm. Bring that back.
They'll never bring that back.
Yeah, they should.
That was ill-conceived. They brought it out. It didn't do well. And
Oh,
so return to ashes it returns. But that bringing up the metaverse thing, like that was something Microsoft said, right? That this was to help them position themselves properly for the coming metaverse, right?
that's true
So
too. Yeah.
having a massive stable of IP you can draw from and then stick in a virtual world, I guess, is something that's attractive. But not for right now, but for the future for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll have a Facebook metaverse, we'll have a Microsoft metaverse, and we'll have an Epic metaverse, right? Those are the
Which is
big three
so
right now.
frustrating because there are not supposed to be different metaverses. It's all supposed to be
Right.
one big. Uh, but corporations
That's
can't
why
have
Epic's
that.
gonna
So
win because they already got their hooks in everybody else's shit. Like you want it all, just go to Fortnite.
yeah,
Mm.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, we all have to do a collective. Let's do some soul searching about whether we enter the Fortnite metaverse in the future.
Yeah,
But
but
on
I
that dour
understand.
note,
Yeah.
let's go ahead and wrap this show up. This was a long one today. I apologize if you guys have stuff you got to go do. But Blue, why don't you let folks know where they can find you when you do go?
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Blue Bones, BLUB0NES. You can find me if you search that in most social media platforms. Actually, yeah, all the ones that I'm on, you'll find me there. If not, it's somebody else. You'll just see my little Blue Reaper on the side. This Wednesday, over Wednesdays on the Open Party channel is going to be dope. We did some really good work last week, and we're doing some like cool training sessions beforehand. So that teamwork is going to start showing off. You know what I'm saying? We're actually putting in the work before we jump on stream and put on the work there. And then next Friday, typically we have Friday nights with Blue, but this week we're taking it off. I got some stuff I have to handle. But you guys could definitely look forward to that, where I do these one-on-ones with streamers. Well, not necessarily one-on-ones, just like one-on-two, whatever it's going. But I take a friend that's a streamer as well, and we play a game that they want to play with me, and we just kind of go through it, and we have a really good time and talk about our favorite games and stuff, just being a gamer. And so, yeah, Jeff was on, and we played Magic the Gathering. That was a lot of fun. I got some wins, you know what I'm saying? I'm just going to put it out there.
I'm just going to say he used older decks.
Look at him. Look at him.
I'm just saying.
I didn't know we couldn't use legendaries. Here we go. Anyway, it's that whole conversation again. Yeah, definitely come check out these streams, guys. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's me.
Nice. How about you, Rachel? What do you have coming up?
Yeah, you can find me on social media, well, Twitter especially. Everything goes through my Twitter. So if you want to find me on Twitter, you can follow my name at Rachel Kaiser. And for today, actually, later today, we're having another one of my Stay Golden Sunday Golden Girls recaps. If you're at all interested, I can't believe it took me like 4 appearances on this show to mention that that's something I did every Sunday. But
Right.
yeah, every Sunday I put out a recap and analysis of a Golden Girls episode. And so you won't want to miss that today on my blog. And also I'm doing some new things on my blog as well. So that's going to be coming up this next week, and I hope people will enjoy it. So no spoilers yet. But yeah, if you want to read what I write at GamesBeat and any of my other stuff, you can find it all on my Twitter. So follow me there.
Nice. And Superman Jeff, where can folks find you?
Yep. You can find me at Superman Jeff 12, as it says below me. Check out the Discord for what's going on this week. Not sure what's going on this week. Got a lot going on this week to take care of. So stay tuned to that, and you'll find out.
All right.
Nice. All right. As always, you can find me at CinemaGears9 on Twitch and Twitter. Join us later today for Super Smash Sunday on the Open Party channel. We'll be there at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In terms of streams, if you follow The Escapist, you'll see the stuff that I'm doing with the group over there throughout the week. And I'm personally trying to increase my amount of personal streams, because I've taken a step back because I've been working on some other stuff. But I kind of miss it, I should say. And I want to be more consistent. So keep a lookout. I don't have a set schedule yet, but I'll probably be doing kind of pop-up streams and try to adhere to like some sort of a schedule for the rest of this month and going into the next month especially. So that should be fun. Other than that, I have a birthday coming up this Wednesday. So,
Wednesday. Yep.
26.
yeah.
They just be giving
I'm next
anybody
Saturday.
birthday.
Casey, I didn't know we were that close together.
Hey, look at
Yeah.
you.
Oh, really? You know what? Jesse, who's also on the show oftentimes, his birthday is today. That's why he ended up not being able to be on this show because he's doing stuff today.
wow.
So, yeah, we're all actually really close in birthdays, which is awesome.
What sign are y'all?
But I'm an
Aquarius.
Aquarius. I don't know. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Because I don't know if Jesse missed the mark or not. Because it's very close. I thought it was a Capricorn for years. But the thing is, as an Aquarius, I don't actually care about astrology, so I don't actually know how close.
I always
that
say
argument just kills itself.
I know.
Right.
I always say it's like, well, I don't. Yeah, astrology's not real. It's not a thing. And people are like, oh, that's
Yeah,
such
but
an
apparently
Aquarius
that's
thing
a
to say.
apparently that's an Aquarius thing to say. So whatever.
I'm like, well, if I'm typical of the breed, then
Then it's not a thing.
Who knows? I don't care enough
this is
to think on it.
Got you.
But that's gonna do it for today's episode of the Sigma Show. We appreciate all our guests as always. Appreciate all the folks in the chat. We love the time you take to chat with us while we're doing this show. We will see you all next week. Take care. Be safe. Peace.
Tweets.
bye.